Hello and welcome to the Nature Unplugged podcast, where we are all about cultivating consciousness in the digital age. Let's get going. Welcome to the first episode of the Nature Unplugged podcast. We are excited to have you, excited to start this journey. My name is Sebastian Slovin, and with me is Sonia Mohammed.
Hi.
Welcome. Welcome, Sonia. Welcome, listener.
So we're going to get started by telling you what the purpose of this podcast is and Nature Unplugged. So our mission at Nature Unplugged is to cultivate consciousness in the digital age. That means creating healthier relationships with technology and getting folks more connected to nature. We know there's tons of benefits to technology, right? There's great things about technology, but we are more connected to technology than ever before. And that's including our devices and our screens and just in general in our everyday lives. And alongside that, people are spending way less time in nature. And those two things combined are really negatively impacting our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So our aim here at Nature Unplugged is to bring the balance back. We developed a unique curriculum to address this growing issue, and we offer it in various ways through presentations, workshops, coaching. We work with students, parents, educators, and professionals who are looking to find clarity and balance. So that's a quick summary of what our mission and vision are at Nature Unplugged. And now I think it would be useful for us to tell you just real quickly a little bit about who we are and what our background is. Seb, could you start us off?
Yeah, certainly. So, co-founder of Nature Unplugged, also married partner to Sonia Mohammed, full disclosure. And a little bit of background about myself. Grew up in San Diego, born and raised Southern California, and spent a lot of time in my early years in and around the ocean. That was my first interest in nature. Anyway, got really into bodyboarding, which is a real thing to get into, also called boogie boarding, and became a professional bodyboarder after I graduated from high school. Spent some time traveling around the world, exploring a lot of the world's best surf spots and locations. After my travel, I developed this really deep love for the natural world. I continued to develop that and got interested in going back to school. So I went back to earn my bachelor's degree and I studied environmental policy at San Diego State University. Then went on later to get my master's in leadership studies from the University of San Diego, and along with that, a certification in leadership coaching. And a lot of my background professionally has been in wellness, teaching things like yoga and mindfulness. Yeah, Sonia, what's your background?
So I am also a co-founder of Nature Unplugged. I grew up outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in a small town called Chesterbrook. I was actually really close to a huge national park, Valley Forge National Park.
Is that where George Washington was?
Yeah. Nobody knows what that park's about, so it's sort of cool. But it's this huge, beautiful park, but it's basically known for the Revolutionary War and, like huge armies camping there and braving the rough winters.
Got it.
Yeah.
You a redcoat or a Yankee?
Yankee for sure.
Okay. Just clarifying.
Yeah, and so I grew up on the East Coast, specifically in the Northeast, and ended up going to college at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, where I got a Bachelor of Arts in Communication Studies, and quickly found a passion in higher education, student affairs, and ended up moving out to Los Angeles and went to UCLA and got a Master's of Ed in Student Affairs, and then bounced around for a little bit, but found my way back to California, and alongside Sebastian, got a Master of Arts in Leadership Studies from the University of San Diego, and also got my certification in leadership coaching. And so most of my career has been in higher education administration, quite a bit over 10 years. And so that's a bit about me and my background.
Nice. And you were also an all-star soccer player, right?
Sure.
High school, college.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yes.
Yeah. Mustn't forget the soccer.
Yes. Now flag football.
Yes, now you're flag football all-star. Okay, awesome. So I want to talk a little bit more or share a little bit more about what this podcast is all about. So we've talked a little bit about, why we are doing what we're doing at Nature Unplugged, a little bit about who we are. Now let's get into what this podcast is all about. I really see this as a way for us to, different medium for us to expand on some of the work we're doing and some of the things we're coaching on and leading workshops on. And, as we kind of mentioned in our mission, that has to do with things related to nature, benefits of nature, technology, wellness in general. We're talking about, how to live well in this age of high distraction and lots of screen time. So I think it would be cool to share a little bit about topics that we may explore in future episodes. So I'll go through these, and Sonia, jump in if I forget anything. So our curriculum that we've developed is based on 3 pillars, which we'll discuss more in future episodes, but they are mindfulness, mindset, and movement, parentheses, play. So we'll get into that more, but we're going to explore those things in depth. We're going to talk about certainly the benefits of nature, how to create healthy relationships, healthy boundaries with technology. We're going to look at leadership in the digital age. How is screen time, video chatting, all these things impacting like how people lead, and especially I'm really interested in how this is impacting young people. How are they leading or going to lead the next generation? You know what I'm saying?
Would you call that emerging leaders?
Emerging leaders, yeah. In fact, Sonia and I did our thesis more or less on kind of the impact technology has on next generation of leaders, emerging leaders. So we'll explore that a little bit more, no doubt. And so a lot of these podcasts I think are going to be conversations between Sonia and I, or maybe conversations just by myself where I just talk into a microphone. And we're also going to be interviewing experts in various relevant fields of study, fields like psychology, sociology, certainly leadership studies, education, sports, coaching, medicine, mind-body, yoga people, natural sciences, I think, geology, environmental science, things like that. There's a lot of relevant fields here, so I could go on and on.
Mm-hmm. And we also might find ourselves dissecting a research study, like a book or article or movie or documentary that's related to the topics of interest to us and relevant to Nature Unplugged. I think we'll probably also spend some time with some stories, like our personal narratives and how we got here and how other people, either grew to value nature or some of their obstacles around it and or technology. We think it would be interesting to do some product reviews and have some discussion around it. There are lots of things out there that are available to us and can have really helpful uses and potentially harmful uses. So looking at that in a critical and hopefully unbiased way. We ideally will be playing some games because we love games. And one of the other pieces that we're really excited about is actually offering some guided practices, giving tangible tools and tips on how you can apply things to your life, as well as offering some space, helping you carve out some space to try some new things, some new practices that would be useful in improving or creating a positive relationship with both nature and technology.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Infinite possibilities.
Many possibilities. So if any of these things strike your fancy, is that a saying?
Yeah, sure.
Strike your fancy. Stick around. We're gonna get into it. I have another question. Who is this podcast for? It can be rhetorical. It can be to myself. We kind of touched on this earlier, but we're sort of finding our audience as we go here. So, part of that is going to be, there's no limit on who, I guess, would connect with this. All humans, But I think specifically we're going to be talking about stuff that's relevant to educators, parents, students, young professionals, older professionals, HR folks, folks in leadership. And those are some of the core categories, I think.
I'm going to go with that. Wasn't really a rhetorical question then.
It's a non-rhetorical. So that's it for today's episode. We are excited to be have already departed on this amazing journey, the Nature Unplugged podcast. Before we go, though, we wanted to share...
It's embarking.
Departing. No, departing. Okay, before we go, we wanted to share with you all what our original theme song for the Nature Unplugged podcast was going to be. Have a listen. Nature Unplugged.
Nature Unplugged.
This is really out of tune. Nature Unplugged.
Becca!
Oh. Okay, so fortunately, well, no, it was a close decision.
That's actually better than I remember it.
Okay, it was a close decision, but after some discussion, some research, we decided to go with a different theme song, which is a song called Mexico by our dear friends and rock stars, the Soft Pack. Enjoy.
If you think you should go, I will let you go.
Thanks so much for listening to the Nature Unplugged podcast. Please take a moment to subscribe and rate us on iTunes. We're just getting started, and word of mouth and your feedback is so helpful for getting this going. Also, if you're interested in more resources, be sure to visit natureunplugged.com. That's www.natureunplugged.com. Also, you can reach us directly from that site. Let us know if you have any questions, comments, feedback, ideas for future shows, potential guests. And until next time, be sure to enjoy your tech responsibly and enjoy the great outdoors. See ya.